Can more than one person do istikharah for the same thing? Can more than one? Just say there's two brothers, mashallah, they're going to come together to start a new company. They're going to do business together. You and I, you say, okay, Yahya, we're going to start a business. Now you need to do istikharah because you're part of the business, and I need to do istikharah. You don't say, okay, can you do istikharah for us? La. Everyone who has a share in the istikharah should make it. And therefore, if your mother, for example, it's common in your culture that when you get married, you're going to bring the woman, your new spouse, to live with your mother, she makes istikharah for who? For who? For herself. فَاصْرِفْهَا عَنِّي. Keep this one away, right? You're making istikharah, oh Allah, if she's good for me, I've made my decision. Your mom's like, yabni, okay, if you want to, but she has power. See, your mom doesn't know she has that power. I'm teaching her now. Right? She's making istikharah for the same thing, and it might be her istikharah turns away what you're making istikharah for. You're asking for it because you want this. You made your decision. She's making istikharah for something she doesn't want that you want. But she has a reason for that decision. Right? Not because you're making istikharah for yourself. Someone can't make istikharah for the same condition from a different perspective. Okay? So when your mom makes istikharah for your marriage, it's not for you, it's for her. Oh Allah, if this son is going to be a good son-in-law to me, bring him, let him be for my daughter. If he's not, oh Allah, turn him from us and turn her from him. Right? She has that right to make istikharah. It's not for the daughter, it's not for the son, but it's for herself. And therefore I want you to change that misconception. I will do istikharah for you. No, it doesn't work that way. You're doing istikharah for yourself as the father, for yourself as the mother. And therefore I always say to those who are looking to get married, your father as the wali, you should make istikharah for your daughter. As her wali, make istikharah for her. Not in her choice, but in what is right for you and your assistance in that choice. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So that's the first misconception. Can more than one person? Yes, more than one person can make it from their own particular vested interest. Everyone has an interest, so you make your istikharah from that perspective, inshaAllah. Number two, do I have to see a sign? Whether it's a dream or someone comes and talks to me about it, is there something, a sign? And the answer is no. None of our books of fiqh or that discuss al-istikharah talk about any particular signs. Why? Because our deen is a deen of basirah. It's a deen of open-sightedness, of logic, of rationale, of thinking, of making decisions. We don't just say, oh Allah, you make the decision for me. No, Allah has the qadr over us anyway. But He's given you the decision in what He's given you qadr. And I want you to learn this from an incident of Umar radiallahu anhu wa ardah. Umar radiallahu anhu is Amirul Mu'mineen, and he's traveled to Damascus. And he's on the boundary of entering Dimashq, Ash-Sham. And Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah radiallahu anhuma is in the city of Damascus. He's the Amir there, appointed by Umar ibn al-Khattab, Amirul Mu'mineen. And as Umar approaches the city, he hears news that inside Ash-Sham there is an epidemic. There is an infectious illness, a plague that people are dying from it. So Umar radiallahu anhu, his fitrah, his firasa, his awareness, his intuition, his spiritual insight stops him. And he stops. And he was traveling with Abdul Rahman ibn Auf and some of the other senior Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ. And they camped outside. And Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah is waiting for them, radiallahu anhum ajma'in. Umar radiallahu anhu turns to the Sahaba and says, هل سمع منكم شيئا عن رسول الله? Any of you hear anything from the Prophet ﷺ about what we should do in a situation like this? This is the mindset of the believer. Always ask, what would the Prophet do? What did the Prophet say? What did the Prophet habit? Anyone know? Umar doesn't know, radiallahu anhu. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, who's a reporter of this hadith, he says yes, and the hadith is عند الإمام البخاري. Yes, سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, I heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم say that if any of you come to a city وفيها الوباء, and it has in it an infectious illness, طاعون, فلا تدخلوها, don't enter it if you're not in it. وإذا أنتم بها فلا تخرجوا منها, and if you're inside, don't leave it. The first principles of quarantine, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Umar sends a message to Abu Ubaidah, we are not coming, radiallahu anhum. Abu Ubaidah writes a scathing letter to Amir al-Mu'mineen and writes in it, أتفر من قدر الله يا عمر. O Umar, are you trying to escape what Allah has written upon you? Meaning that if Allah has written, you come in this city, you get sick and die, that's Allah's qadr. Who are you to try to change your qadr? So Umar radiallahu anhu wrote him a response. And I want you to learn this for this hadith, for your dua, for your life. He said, أَفِرُّ مِنْ قَدَرِ اللَّهِ إِلَى قَدَرِ اللَّهِ. He said, I escape the qadr of Allah to the qadr of Allah. Allahu Akbar. Every day in your life you have 100 qadr. You have 100 choices. It's one qadr. The qadr is you're alive. The qadr is you're in Birmingham. The qadr is it's in this year, in this day. But in that day, Allah's giving you the choices to change your qadr. You change it by the choices you make. Allah knows where you would be now if you're not with me. أحاط بكل شيء علما. الله يعلم ما كان وما هو كائن وما سيكون وما سوف يكون وما يكون لو لم يكن. Allah knows what was, what is, what would be, and what could be, even though it will never happen. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore you make dua al-istikharah because you can choose your qadr. Your qadr, you don't say it's my qadr to marry this person. Yes, it was your qadr to choose to marry that person. But Allah had given you other options to choose. Right? It's not, oh, Allah put me in this situation. That is a false aqeedah in believing in qadr. It's called al-aqeedah al-qadr al-iblisiyya. The ulama, they have a statement for it. It is the mentality of Iblis. What did Iblis say? He said, you're the one, Ya Allah, aghwaytani. You're the one who let me not worship, not make sujood to Adam. Ya Allah, you're the one who allowed me to do this. Why didn't you stop me? La. It's the qadr of Iblis to make that choice. He was mukhayyar, muyassar, given the choice. And therefore in istikharah, in making a choice, it is entirely in your choosing, but you're asking Allah to bless what the ramifications for it would be. So therefore when you experience pain of it, sadness from it, hardship from it, you don't say, I wish I never did it, had I not done it. No, you know that Allah has led you down this path. Third misconception, so that we can end and get ready for Salatul Isha. Allahumma taqabbalha minna ya Rabb. Finally, as a misconception is, can you pay someone to do Salatul Istikharah? And subhanAllah, you hear some very strange things. Sometimes you'll get a young man, he goes, Shaykh, we asked the Pir, or we asked the Maulana, we asked the Shaykh to make it for us, and he said it was unclear. MashaAllah, unclear. He was looking in the mirror and it was fuzzy. This kind of Dajjal, it's Dajjal. It's a form of Dajjal. Don't ever believe that anyone has that some spiritual connection, that their istikharah is better than somebody else's istikharah. We said that the dua begins what? Allahumma inni, I am asking for this for myself. Right? So don't ever pay anyone for it. Immediately know that this is not something that is blessed by Allah. Immediately know that this is something that is not going to give you any reward, and that there is no answer that they can give you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not guide you on your own towards. Salatul Istikharah is a decision you make and asking Allah to bless and give you its ramification. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم